We have talked about electrical mobility as a valid option or as a valid alternative to fossil fuels before. We've talked about bikes, we've talked about tuk-tuks. Today we have a bigger conversation, and that is exactly why we're here at OPIBUS, where they are electrifying Africa a car at a time. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having us. I'd like you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Lucy Mugala. I am a mechatronics engineer by profession, and in OPIBUS I'm a research and development engineer within the micromobility department. Yes.
So speaking about OPIBUS, what exactly do you guys do at OPIBUS?
Yeah. So OPIBUS is an electric mobility company. We do electric conversions for commercial vehicles such as buses and utility vehicles such as safari vehicles. And we also produce manufacture electric motorcycles. Yes.
So essentially what you do is turn a petrol or diesel engine into an electric one.
Exactly. We just we remove the fossil fuel drivetrain and replace that with an electric kit. Kit, yes.
I like the way it now sounds professional when you say it. I'm just like, remove the engine. Anyway, so why should I consider having an electric one vis-a-vis just a usual engine?
Yes.
What edge does it have over?
So our impact is quite multifaceted. But the biggest and the most important one is the environmental impact that we have. So fossil vehicles are known to produce carbon emissions that are a huge contributor to global warming and very adverse climate effects. So with our electric drivetrain, electric vehicles are very clean. There's no emissions. So we are able to contribute to the improvement of the climate and just contribute to an overall better environment. And so that's the impact that we have in terms of the environment. We also have an economic impact because the electric drivetrains the electric vehicles are almost maintenance free. The running costs are so low compared to their fossil fuel counterparts. Also, we are cutting down the cost of fuels. We know that the biggest concern to any motorist or any driver right now or any car owner is the rising cost of fuels. So right now our electric vehicles can curb that. So you're able to save more than half or more than 50% of your money because the recharging fees is not as expensive as refueling your car. So that's quite an edge. I feel like that's a huge benefit of having an electric vehicle.
So if I'm getting this right, this electric car, once it's done with, I have to come back to you and charge it?
No.
So or will I? Okay.
So for the current utility safari vehicles that we've done, we also install an off-grid charging station for them. So it comes as a package. So we convert for you, but then there's an extra package for the charging stations, so you don't have to come back to the workshop to charge from here. But for the commercial vehicles, we are planning to deploy charging stations. And it's easy for us to do that. And why we targeted the commercial sector is because the routes are very predetermined. So for example, for matatus, we know where they start and where they stop. And it's just the same route. So it's easy for us to position charging stations. So that's something that we're working towards. So whenever they are dropping off their passengers, they can charge while people are getting into their cars. And then once they get to the end of the route, they recharge again, and then it's a very easy route to sort of put charging stations. So you don't have to come back to the workshop. For the electric motorcycles, these ones come with swappable batteries, and we also give you a portable charger. So it's easy for you to remove the charger once you park in your house. Remove the charger, go to your house with the battery, go to your house with it. Plug in your charger and you can charge overnight, or you can plug in anywhere, even at any shop, as long as there's a power outlet somewhere. It's just an ordinary wall socket plug that can fit in an ordinary wall socket.
So for the bikes, there's a charger that is portable. So I can charge from anywhere. So I just charge this charger and then wherever I go. Okay.
And then in certain situations, we can offer you a swapping station cabinet. So for example, for businesses, like I can say like delivery businesses, delivery companies, they can buy a swapping station cabinet. So what this is for your fleet of vehicles, there's a place you guys park the motorcycles, So at that place, we'll position the charge swapping cabinet. So you can put your depleted battery and take a fully recharged one. In less than 5 minutes, you're done. So you can just continue with your day, with your whatever you are doing. So it's a very convenient way to also recharge your batteries.
Yeah. Okay. And how long does a charge last?
In terms of kilometers, it will take you between 70 to 100 kilometers depending on your riding style. So the faster you go, the faster the battery is depleted. So it can never go below 70 kilometers. So you can, and that 70 kilometers
Wait,
is
what do you
enough.
mean it can never go low?
You can never do, like the battery will never be depleted before you get to 70 kilometers. So 70 kilometers is the minimum and 100 kilometers is the most you can do. Yes.
Okay.
100 kilometers is the most you can do.
That's for the bikes?
Yes.
And how about the vehicles?
The vehicles do almost the same. So it's near 100 kilometers, but sometimes 80, depending on the terrain and things like that. Because we've deployed safari vehicles, and the terrain in game reserves and places like that are quite harsh and require a lot of torque, and that draws a lot of current. So the batteries get depleted very quickly. But yeah, we're working towards increasing that range in the near future.
So what type of batteries do you guys use, and why is it better than those existing in the market?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. So for all our vehicles and motorcycles as well, we use lithium-ion batteries. And the reason we chose these batteries is because their life cycles are more compared to the lead-acid batteries that people are more familiar to. And they're also maintenance-free. Unlike the lead-acid that you have to replenish acid every other time, the lithium-ion batteries do not need any maintenance, and they're also very high in their energy densities, so they can offer you longer ranges compared to lead-acid batteries, and they're also much smaller, which makes them very efficient to use in things like motorcycles, because they're very small compared to lead-acid batteries for the kind of power that we require. So that's why we settle for lithium-ion batteries.
And is there a trade-off? Like, is there something negative about it vis-a-vis the other kind of batteries?
I'd say
Maybe
sometimes the cost is a bit higher, but the lifetime savings are more. Because compared to the maintenance or the need to keep replacing lead-acid batteries, you do not have that with the lithium-ion batteries. So it's a high initial cost, but you have your lifetime savings.
Do you change it at some point?
Yes, but it takes around 5 to 10 years for you to actually
longer than...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So to address the elephant in the room, how much would it cost for me to get a bike from you guys?
So the bikes go for, currently the ones that we've deployed go for $2,500 US. But we are looking towards lowering that to around $1,300 US, which matches the fossil fuel motorbikes in the market. So we want the bikes to be very cost competitive so that they're attractive to the boda owners.
And would you say they're cheaper than other electric bikes in the market?
Yes, they are much cheaper, and they're cheaper because 30% of the components of our bikes are designed and built locally. So that's how we are able to offset the costs. So most of the other electric bikes are fully imported. So everything is imported, from the frame to everything. But as we do most of the design work and building in-house, so that reduces the cost significantly. Yeah, and that's what puts us on like above everybody else.
On a pedestal, so to say.
Yes.
So what are the challenges that you faced so far in regards to the project?
Yeah. So the biggest, I feel like the biggest challenge so far is trying to make the prices competitive, to lower the cost of our products to match the fossil fuel counterparts. Currently, electric vehicles, even in the world, are more expensive than the fossil vehicles, and that's usually because of the components that are chosen to make these vehicles. So for us, doing design work and developing in-house and avoiding shipment fees and excise duties and things like that, we are able to come very close to competing with the traditional fossil fuel cars. But that I could say is the biggest challenge that we've been facing, costs. The other thing is, like I said, we've done safari vehicles. So it's easy for us to deploy safari vehicles because the charging infrastructure is something we offer. So currently, the lack of charging infrastructure within metropolitan areas, like the cities and things like that, has made it very difficult for us to penetrate that market, because setting up charging infrastructure is an added cost, an added task. But we are looking forward to partnering with teams like KPLC and Kengen, since they have stated their intentions to start rolling out charging infrastructure. So once we have such collaborations, it's going to be very easy for us to slowly start penetrating this other market, because right now we are really focused more on the safari vehicle industry, because it's not so sensitive in that regard. So those two, I might say, are the biggest challenges that we face, trying to match the costs with the fossil fuel counterparts, and also the charging infrastructure. Yes.
And what has the reception been like to your target market so far?
Yeah, it's been quite good so far. Everyone who we've done these projects for or converted for, sometimes even come for second conversions. Yes, so that already gives us the impression that we are doing well. So if someone can come for a second product, that means that they were satisfied with the first one. So that's really good. And also we get a lot of pre-orders from our website. There's a place you can pre-order the bikes or the vehicles. So we get a lot of pre-orders. So we get a lot of orders even before we finished production, which means that more and more people are willing to take on electric vehicles, which is really great. So the future is bright. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have talked about electrical mobility as a valid option or as a valid alternative to fossil fuels before. We've talked about bikes, we've talked about tuk-tuks. Today we have a bigger conversation, and that is exactly why we're here at OPIBUS, where they are electrifying Africa a car at a time. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having us. I'd like you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Lucy Mugala. I am a mechatronics engineer by profession, and in OPIBUS I'm a research and development engineer within the micromobility department. Yes.
So speaking about OPIBUS, what exactly do you guys do at OPIBUS?
Yeah. So OPIBUS is an electric mobility company. We do electric conversions for commercial vehicles such as buses and utility vehicles such as safari vehicles, and we also produce manufacture electric motorcycles.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So tell me who you are and what you do here.
My name is Lumbi. I'm a mechatronics engineer in the R&D division of OPIBUS.
Take us through what exactly you do.
The vehicle is. So we try to check what its current performance is at the time of arrival and see what we can do to improve its lifespan and see what we can, and the goal is to make sure that once the vehicle leaves our production line, it's at a much better performance than when it came in. So the initial stages is first we sit down with the owners of the vehicle and figure out what exactly they want. And this has been simplified in the website where you can configure your vehicle based on your needs. So the first step after the feasibility study of how the vehicle is performing, we remove the drivetrain components. So we remove the old internal combustion engine and remove the gearbox. These are components that we do not require, of course, as well as the fuel tank. So this reduces the weight significantly of the vehicle. After that, now we improve the vehicle by adding an electric motor. We couple our electric motor directly to the transfer case. So if it's a four-wheel drive vehicle, we assure that eventually it will still maintain that four-wheel drive functionality, but an electric four-wheel drive. So you're seeing a situation where the instant torque that is a great benefit of electric vehicles and the customary transfer case design that has worked being coupled together and improving the design altogether. After that, now we add our battery pack solution. So we have 2 to 3 battery packs in the vehicle depending on our customer needs. So we have a battery at the front, at the bonnet. We have one at the center of the vehicle where the fuel tank used to be. And for other clients, you can add even a third at the rear of the vehicle. So at the moment, our standard base configuration is a 38 kilowatt hour battery, and coupled with a 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger. Together, this brings you to around 100 to 120 kilometers of range, which is something that we are still working on to improve to make sure our clients get bigger range. So that's the entire process. And once the vehicle starts rolling out the production line, from there it's now doing tests and making sure that, as we are done at the beginning to make sure we know what the performance of the vehicle is, now we have a comparative to how now the vehicle is performing, and always the vehicle will perform much better than it came in.
I see. So okay, since you said it performs even better than when it came in, what's the top speed once that conversion happens?
It happens to be around 80 to 100 kilometers per hour, depending on how the vehicle is performing. If, for example, you have an old vehicle that has some drivetrain issues, then we try to reduce the top speed that it will have to ensure that it has a longer life. But most of our vehicles are used in off-road environments where you actually don't need to be driving at 80 to 100 kilometers per hour, because you're in the Masai Mara. You're there to enjoy the safari and enjoying the environment and what it is. Our biggest issue is making sure that the vehicle performs in the rough terrain that is the Kenyan environment and the African market in general. So once we've achieved that, then top speed is no longer an issue for us.
Okay. So in regards to the conversion, do you people look at or think about expanding it into a whole line as opposed to bringing cars in for conversion? In like 5-10 years, do you guys see yourselves maybe making cars from scratch, electric cars maybe, perhaps?
Our biggest goal has not been to produce brand new electric vehicles, but putting new life into existing vehicles in the market. Across the globe, there are millions and millions of vehicles that are thrown away in junkyards. And this is a big environmental issue, because a vehicle is not only the metal parts, there's also the plastic that's involved in the dashboard, there's a plastic involved in the console and other areas of the vehicle. All this is thrown to waste. This is plastic that's put out in the oceans, plastic that pollutes water catchment areas. And this is a key priority for us to make sure we reduce the amount of global waste internationally. So the minute that you take an old vehicle that is past its lifespan and introduce an electric motor to it, you introduce a new life to it. It now performs even much better than it was when it was brand new. And instead of having a vehicle for 10 to 15 years, you're seeing after 10 and it's 15 years at the end of the lifespan, you're adding another 10 to 15 years as an electric vehicle. So you have a situation where people will need to buy less and less cars because the vehicles that they already have are sufficient to continue on. So that's the goal.
How long between the time I bring in my car for conversion and till the time I can pick it up, like afterwards?
Ideally, we are planning to have it as 2 weeks. The minute the vehicle lands in the production line, the whole process of the feasibility study and seeing what we can add to improve your vehicle. All that should be a short period of time, because once it's in the production line, it just keeps, the wheels keep rolling.
So in the case like my car is spoiled, do I have to bring it here for fixing, for example? Yeah.
No. That's the beauty of electric vehicles. There are so few moving parts. In fact, there's only one moving part, the electric motor. While in an internal combustion engine, you're seeing around 1,000 moving parts altogether. That by itself is a key factor into why owning a vehicle that's electric brings so much in terms of a reduction in your maintenance cost. Because now what's left for you to maintain in your vehicle is actually just the brakes, your tires, and the coolant, which also it's not as volatile as the ones used in internal combustion engines. So in the end, you're just left with the battery, which itself is a very stable product, and the electric motor, which lasts for.
Let me just ask, as one of the things that remains, the transmission system remains, So if it's a manual, it still remains a manual, or does that change?
No. That's one of the key parts of the internal combustion engine that we remove.
Okay.
The beauty about an electric motor is that its torque is constant throughout the RPM range. For an internal combustion engine, you need a transmission case so that you make sure that the vehicle is always operating at the perfect power width. But for an electric motor, you have that power throughout. There is no downtime in terms of power. So we do not require transmission. So we remove the transmission case itself, but remain with the transfer case. The transfer case now distributes the power from the electric motor to the four wheels of the vehicles.
So on that note, what exactly are you saying? Are you saying that if I bring my car in as a manual car, it leaves an automatic? Like, does the transmission change?
That's the thing about electric vehicles. There is no need for a transmission. The power band that's provided by an electric motor is constant throughout the RPM range. So regardless of what speed you're in, immediately you step on the gas, you're rather on the pedal, you're given instant torque, constantly, always, anytime, it's always on demand. That's the beauty about having an electric vehicle. So there's no need for a clutch. For example, there's no need for even calling it an automatic, because there is no gears that you're changing really. So it's just you have an electric motor, and that electric motor performs for you regardless of whatever speed you're in. That's the beauty of electric.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the conversation.
My name is Beatrice Wanjiro. I am an electrical engineer in the R&D department, working on the project of converting buses to electric. So this is a pilot project where we're converting 10 buses and also installing a charging infrastructure, a fast charging infrastructure, because the buses need to be up and running 24/7. This charging for the buses is different from what we've been doing with our safari vehicles. Since buses, we don't want to have a downtime of a long time, so that's why we use DC fast charging instead. So that one you can charge your bus for like 30 minutes and it's 0 to 80%, which is enough to take you for 2 rounds or more. I think matatus stand to benefit most from conversion, since we know matatus here in Kenya are synonymous to a lot of noise, a lot of pollution of air, also costs, that's maintenance, operation and all that. But now once you convert this to electric, there is no noise because an electric motor is very silent. There is no air pollution. Also, your maintenance cost is almost 0% and the operational costs are cut to like 50%. So I think matatus stand to benefit most from this conversion. Some challenges we're facing on this project so far, being a first of its kind project, we're getting new things, like I've mentioned, the DC fast charging. So getting this up and running, that's testing and making sure, because now it's a lot of current being pumped into our batteries, just testing and seeing, is it safe? Yeah, so that's one of the challenges we are facing with this project. The reception with the matatu owners and industry is, they're very receptive to this, especially since I've mentioned cost. So once you tell a person and once they learn that they're cutting our cost to like operational cost to like 50%, no maintenance cost, that means it's much more affordable for them. So they're really taking it up.
And on that note, we come to another bomb episode of TECH47. I hope you found this informative and electrifying. If you did, be sure to tune in every Thursday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m.